Morning, Senator.
Morning, Allison. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Are you comfortable with this new reporting that the Trump campaign used a data analytics firm, paid them millions of dollars, and it turns out that the head of that firm reached out to Julian Assange of WikiLeaks fame to try to get more Clinton campaign emails?
Allison, there are so many questions surrounding, exactly what kind of influence Russia exerted on our campaign. I've got a lot of questions in terms of what role the FBI played in this. I have questions in terms of, exactly what role the DNC and the Clinton campaign played in this, as well as the ongoing investigation by the Senate Intelligence Committee in terms of possible connection to the Trump campaign. So there are so many questions swirling around here that we need to get to the bottom of this so we can move on and address the serious issues facing this country.
Well, we have James Clapper coming up, as you know, former DNI head. So what questions do you have about the FBI and their role?
Well, in particular, we have a jurisdiction over the Office of Special Counsel, and we've been asking the Office of Special Counsel to release the unredacted depositions of two FBI agents that gave those depositions when the Office of Special Counsel was investigating Hatch Act violations by Director Comey. Again, what Director Comey did during the campaign, what was revealed about Hillary Clinton's emails, the lack of curiosity, the botched investigation in terms of her email scandal. Now we find out that Director Comey was writing memos in terms of how he's going to exonerate her months before they actually interview witnesses. They destroyed evidence. There are a lot of questions surrounding the FBI's conduct during the whole Clinton email investigation.
Okay, let's move on, because we have a lot to get through with you. So let's talk about the state of the Republican Party and whether or not it is unified or not. What did you think of your colleagues, Bob Corker, who I know you sit with on the Foreign Relations Committee, and Jeff Flake speaking out so vocally against the president?
Well, that's really their choice to do that. I have respect for both Bob and for Jeff. From my standpoint, I come from the business world. I tenaciously try and find areas of agreement. I think the good thing about the Republican Party right now is we are very unified in trying to come up with a tax proposal that will actually grow our economy so that every American will prosper. So I think it's those shared goals, the areas of agreement is what in the end will unify our party.
Okay, because when we spoke to Senator Jeff Flake yesterday on our air, it didn't sound as though the Republican Party was very unified. I mean, he said that he's had lots of conversations with fellow Republicans who are sort of cheering him on and who themselves plan to speak out against some of the things that he thinks have been really divisive coming out of the president.
Well, Allison, it probably doesn't surprise you for me to tell you that we have a broad spectrum of opinion within the Republican Party. That's always been the case, always will be the case. But again, what unifies us is we want to grow our economy so that every American has the opportunity to have a prosperous life for themselves and their families. So again, I just, as a business person, I just try and really find those areas of agreement, and we share the same goals. And I don't care whether it's Democrat or it's Republican. We all want a safe, prosperous, and secure America. I want to concentrate on those.
So the devil's in the details, as you know. And in terms of tax reform, yes, you're right. Everybody says, of course, we want tax reform for sure. And then when you dive into the details, it gets a lot more cloudy. So let's talk about some of those. 401ks, right? That's what so many Americans have. They've invested in. They want to know if you can guarantee that those will not be touched under any sort of new plan.
Well, I wouldn't touch them, but here's what we're unified under. The fact that right now America's taxation system on business is probably the most uncompetitive in the world. And so it's just a table stakes issue. We have to make America's corporate tax system competitive with the world, which is what the framework is all about. Lowering that corporate rate down to 20%, making sure that pass-through entities are also at that same basic level, about 5% differential, make sure we maintain that differential. So, in doing that, obviously that costs a fair amount in terms of revenue. So now you start looking for, how do you make up that revenue?
Yeah.
I have my own ideas in terms of how to doing that. And the tax writing committees have theirs.
Yeah, and so do they include 401ks?
Well, they were talking about that. I would not support that. Again, from my standpoint, the way you equalize the treatment between pass-through entities and C-Corps is you make C-Corps pass-through entities. Solves an awful lot of problems. I'm hoping the tax writing committees seriously take my proposal up.
Right, you're talking about those LLCs, the limited liability corporations, right, that are called pass-through entities. And so you want to do what with them? You want to raise the rate of what they're taxed at above 25%? You want to lower them? What do you want to do with those?
What I like to do is leave the treatment of pass-throughs the exact same, but take C-Corps the big corporations, and make those pass-through entities. In other words, I want to make sure the owners pay the tax on corporate income. Right now, we're having a debate. Who really pays the corporate tax? Is it employees? Is it consumers? Is it the owners? Let's take that argument off the table. Let's make the owners pay. It'd be a true Warren Buffett tax. And by the way, it would shrink income inequality. It would make it more beneficial for low-income Americans to hold stock. There's so many benefits to what I'm proposing. I really hope the tax writing committees take up my proposal.
Okay, that's interesting, but I just don't want to let you go before I get the real answer on 401ks, because so many people are listening with rapt attention here.
I would not vote for it. I would not vote for it. I think the president is pretty solid. He's not going to probably sign a bill that would have that in it. So hopefully the tax writing committees will take that off the table. They should.
Okay, well, they haven't yet. As you know, Congressman Kevin Brady of Texas, Republican, the top tax writer, said that they may need to change the tax status of 401k plans to help pay for all of this.
Allison, we need to encourage Americans to save more for retirement, because over the next 30 years, Social Security will have an $18 trillion deficit in terms of the number of benefits it pays out versus what it gets in the payroll tax. So this would be the worst time to disincentivize people from saving for their retirement.
Senator Ron Johnson, thank you. Great to talk to you about all of this.
Have a great day.
You too.